When I came out of the Jehovah's Witnesses, I came out twice at once. I came out of the Jehovah's Witnesses and I came out as bisexual. Damn, double homicide. Let's talk about it. So if you're new to my content, this is the Disfellow Dipped channel. My name is Jordan. I left the Jehovah's Witnesses 2 years ago, and I've been chronicling my XJW deconstructing journey. Deconstructing from the ways that I was indoctrinated as a Jehovah's Witness and from Christianity as a whole, as an agnostic and a bisexual one. So let's get into the bisexual part, because I haven't talked about this. So growing up within Christianity, sexuality as a whole is only spoken about in a negative light. That's the most common thing that the average Jehovah's Witness gets disfellowship for, is sex. And I think it's because it's such a taboo issue, but it's a natural, innate human thing to do. And when it comes to homosexuality, that's even more demonized. That's even more taboo, like vastly taboo, probably more taboo than murderers. So growing up in that, you just internalize all of that and don't really view yourself in a healthy way. And especially when it comes to bisexuality, when you're a kid, you just feel confused. You don't view it as some kind of valid way of existing. You're just like, okay, I have crushes on girls, but now I like men too. What's going on? So growing up, for me as an individual, I had crushes on girls when I was a kid, when I was really young. You know, I found girls attractive. It was usually older girls that I had crushes on. And then, when I would watch movies and TV shows, I had crushes on girls like Alexa Vega and Spy Kids and Kristen Bell in Catch That Kid. Like, I like girls who were spunky, who had spunk and like, not necessarily were hardcore, but like a little mean. And I don't know, growing up in South Jersey, like I feel like Jersey girls and Northern girls in general have more of a spunk. Plus my parents are from Brooklyn, so I grew up around women like that. And then I had a crush on Megan Good and Cousin Skeeter, and me and my brother would argue over who was hotter in whatever that movie was with Lindsay Lohan and Megan Fox. I was like, no, Lindsay Lohan is hotter. And he was like, no, Megan Fox is hotter. And then Megan Fox in Transformers. I was like, goodness gracious. So I knew I liked women. So, of course, you feel normal. Then at 7, when you're walking the Macy's underwear aisle for men, obviously, because you buy men's underwear, or you're in Wawa and passing the magazine aisle, and I see Terrell Owens shirtless on like a Sports Illustrated magazine or something, I couldn't look away. So I was confused, like, what am I feeling right now? And this was at 7. So it's confusing when people act like kids don't know what it feels like to be aroused, let's say, which I hate that word because it was, again, connected with purity culture and so demonized. You know, you got the whole Pillowgate scandal in Bethel and how arousal was just something to destroy yourself mentally over when it's something you cannot control and it feels amazing. It feels amazing. And that's why so many people got, addicted to porn and masturbating within their religion because, frankly, it feels even better when it's taboo. That's why a lot of these red states, all of the money for porn is from there. It's because Christianity makes it so taboo. And when you're like hiding it and doing it, it's like the orgasms are even better. But anyway, hold on. Maybe I should turn the monitor off for this thing. Yeah, let's do that so it stops bugging me. But, so I thought at 7 when I had these attractions to men and I was confused, I'm watching Space Jam and Michael Jordan is lounging on the couch, he's shirtless, and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? At that point, I was like, am I just gay? But I didn't know what gay was. I just knew I don't think this is normal. And then I had never seen like any kind of gay relationships, gay interactions, two people of the same sex kissing. And if I did see something like that, it was accidental. It was out of the blue. I remember, I think my mom was watching House, the medical TV show, and I saw a clip of 2 women like going at it. And obviously they still had clothes on and everything. This is like, PG TV, so you can't show anything crazy. But I was confused, like, two women can't do that. That's not even physically possible. But it is. So I was confused, like, what is that? Two women doing that. And I don't even know if my mom changed the channel or what. But I remember that. And then I remember seeing clips of, like, Tila Tequila and that, like, bisexual show that she had, and how she would be making out with women. And the kissing was hot, but I was confused. Because I was like, I'm attracted to this, but I'm not supposed to be. What's going on? And when it comes to bisexuality, that was the only, like, exposure I had to it was girls being bisexual. I had a bisexual classmate who everybody just thought was like a hoe, for lack of a better word, which was wrong. Because you can't just, like, again, that's connected with Christianity. It's demonizing sexuality. Let's say someone does, like, experimenting with a bunch of different people. Who cares as long as you're doing it safely? Now, I don't think you should be doing that in middle school, but everybody in middle school knew that she was bisexual, and then she ended up at the same high school as me, which we went to a 50-person per class high school and early college. So I remember, feeling some type of way about her, like she was diseased or something. And that's what Christianity makes you believe. So I had no representation of bisexuality with men. I didn't feel that I was bisexual. I felt like I was confused, that I might just be gay. Because growing up, I had these crushes, but then when I got older and older, I didn't just have crushes. I was better friends with girls, I felt like. Like, I felt like I got along better with girls than I did guys, because I didn't like sports. I wasn't all into the same straight things that guys were into. I was a video game nerd. I can't say a band geek, but I played the clarinet in school. Like, I was relatively nerdy. I had a rolling backpack in high school. So I wasn't like your typical player, but my twin and my younger brother were. I remember snitching on my little brother for having one of the hottest girls in the circuit sit on his lap. Yeah, that's another story for another day. But it's just like the purity culture makes you shy away from normal human interactions. And so when I got older and, you kind of venture away from the childhood crushes and you kind of move towards dating age, I didn't want to date because I knew that how serious that was within the Jehovah's Witnesses. And now I still had crushes, of course. I had a crush on this Filipino girl, for like 6 years. Actually, I moved to North Carolina when I was 12. Her and her family were one of the first people I met when I moved to North Carolina, and also Bree and her family, if you ever see this video. She's another XJW. I guess you could call her an influencer, but that's not like her main focus. But anyway, so I had a crush on this girl for like 6 years, but never got up the courage to talk to her because I didn't feel like I had the personality to be a player or to get a girlfriend. I just didn't feel like I had the draw because I never had a reciprocated crush except maybe in like high school. I had a girl that I liked in high school that I didn't let her know that I liked her because she wasn't a Jehovah's Witness. So when I got to the age where I was an option for women, I got afraid. I still am like intimidated by women because I don't understand them like I understand men. And who inspired me to make this video was my friend Jake Worldly on his multiple accounts on social media. He made a video about growing up bisexual. And he said that he's intimidated by men, but he's fine with women and he's married to a woman. I'm the opposite. I'm not really intimidated by men. Like, I kind of understand men and I've been with a bunch of men, but women, I'm just like, I'm afraid. And I have been on 2 dates with a bisexual woman and it was great. Like, I enjoyed it and the flirtations were good. I'm still a virgin when it comes to women, which really sucks. She was the first woman that I kissed ever. Are you kidding? That's kind of sad, don't you think? So, and she was the first girl I went on a date with. We were in the movie theaters by ourselves. Ended up kissing her in the movie theater by ourselves. And as a Jehovah's Witness, that's taboo. That's frowned upon. You could get in trouble. You could get kicked out for them assuming that you did something with the opposite sex. And so, as I was getting older and getting to the age where I became an option, I didn't feel like an option. Because though I got along better with girls growing up, as I got older, I felt like I ventured away from understanding girls and their mentalities and psyches and what they liked in guys. I didn't ask girls what they liked in guys. I never talked about that. It felt like you weren't supposed to. It felt like you were not supposed to talk about sexual things at all, or even not even sexual things, but just like relationship things, unless you were pursuing that person. And I'm like, I shouldn't have to pursue someone with the thought of marrying them just to figure out who I am and what I like. But that's kind of the JW life. Let's see, what else did I want to say? Oh, I was also insecure about my height until like my late 20s. So I didn't feel like I was attractive enough to attract girls because girls seem to care about height, And I knew I had enough personality to attract girls. I knew I can sing, I have talent, I can dance, but it felt like I wasn't good enough. And then I also wanted to be a spiritual head among the Jehovah's Witnesses. But at 19, I started struggling with my sexuality towards men even more. I started looking at porn, gay porn, at 19. And so from then on, 19 to 29, I think, I just struggled in and out, and I would always be honest about it. I would confess. So I would regain my privileges, lose them again, regain my privileges, lose them again. And I'm like, I can't be a spiritual head like this. So I never pursued any girls that I liked because I'm like, what do I have to offer if I'm not spiritual enough to be a good husband? But even now, I don't think I want to be a husband to anyone, woman or man. I have to figure that out. I don't know why my computer keeps falling asleep. I got to figure that out. But as far as bisexuality goes, I felt like I was confused. I didn't identify as bisexual. And when it comes to sexuality, like within the Jehovah's Witnesses, you're not even allowed to like touch the opposite sex. They want you to like give a side hug to a girl so that her breasts aren't touching you. You can't hold hands with somebody, or even like, I remember playing Red Rover in high school and having to lock arms with a girl, let's say, in Red Rover, and I was like, it's so taboo, like this is so foreign. That's so unnatural to think like that. To be like, oh, touching a woman is unnatural. And that's the thing is, you have that mentality where sexuality in general is like almost unnatural, but then they also say that homosexuality is unnatural. But the thing is, like, I grew up being obsessed with like the Backstreet Boys, and I would learn the dances with some of my girlfriends. So there were some indications there that the sexuality was a little different. But as I got older, like, I was never effeminate. I was never femme. I don't, identify with that. I'm like trying not to get canceled or whatever, but I don't give a fuck. No, I do. But as I grew up, I think I always acted relatively masculine. So people didn't like, I don't know if people assumed things or not. So when you don't come across as someone who could potentially be gay, people aren't really going to think much if you're like wrestling around with guys. You're allowed to touch the same sex. And so when I would play football or basketball, I wouldn't be like getting aroused by playing with my friends with that. But like, if we were wrestling around and doing stuff like that, playing around in the pool, I would be like, what's going on? I like this. So that like sexuality developed from childhood on. But with women, it was just like, I wouldn't even touch them. You're not even allowed to look at them. That's why I had to get a privacy screen on my phone, because you would have elders' wives trying to see if you're looking at a girl in a bikini on Instagram. You could be just minding your business, swiping on Instagram, and some celebrity you follow posts something with them in a bikini and scantily clad. I loved looking at Victoria's Secret models or following them on Instagram, and they would post stuff with tight dresses and them in bikinis. They're Victoria's Secret models. Duh. Or Sports Illustrated models. So I knew that I was still attracted to girls. And it's like you also, even now, I kind of question, am I actually bisexual? Because it's like there's this idea that you want to hold on to a sense of normalcy. And I guess sociologically, I think anybody would want that, but I don't think that's what it is. I never stopped being attracted to girls just because I started being attracted to guys at 7 too. So it has never been like I'm only attracted to guys. I'll look at women and be like, damn, she's beautiful. Wow, she's gorgeous. Wow, she is thick. I love curvaceous, like thick women. Oh my God. I've always loved boobs. And the fact that that is demonized is just counterproductive to normal, healthy sexuality. And even like, I don't even bring it up among my gay friends who I hang out with every week. Like, I hang out primarily with gay men. And I have straight friends, obviously, but even they'll be like, oh yeah, we all said we were bi at first, and oh, I love eating pussy, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, okay, so are you bisexual or are you just gay? But they also like are primarily with men. They're married to men. But I'm like, that is an invalidation of people's actual sexualities. And among bisexual men, it's like, it's not a thing. You know, there are people who even say there's no such thing as a bisexual man. And I'm like, how would you know? How are you going to speak for us? You don't know what it's like. And why is it valid if a woman is bisexual but not a man? What is the qualification? What's the criteria for saying women can be bisexual but men can't? What are their qualifications that enable them to be bisexual but not men? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And yesterday, I just ventured into looking for bisexual porn, and it was so hot. Like, primarily, I'll watch gay stuff. But I was like, I need to, develop more of a not more of a liking, but I guess a healthier view of women, or, a less male-focused, male-centered sexuality. So I was like, I need to look at this more, and it was hot. But I'm just like, I would like to see more bisexual representation, more of a respect for bisexual men, less of these stereotypes and taboos about us, thinking that we're just sleeping with everyone, that we're naturally disloyal just because we like both sexes. That doesn't make sense. Because if I'm going to pursue a relationship with one person and it's not an open relationship, I'm focused on that person. I am a loyal person. I don't think that I know that I would not cheat on someone. And if we have not established something open, then it's not open. But I would have to really be committed to that one person. And I don't know if I want a committed relationship, especially not in this stage in my life. After leaving a cult that I was in for 29 years, didn't know it was a cult, was a virgin till I was 29. Hadn't kissed anyone till I was 29. That's pathetic. But I was very serious about the religion. I believed that it was the truth, and I wanted to make it to paradise. But I was also suffering. That's another reason why I had never kissed anyone, because I didn't want to hurt a woman. I didn't want a girl to catch feelings within the religion. And I knew that I liked men, and I wanted to pursue that attraction and see how it felt. And it feels amazing. It feels amazing. But I didn't want to pursue that knowing that I had this attraction and end up cheating. End up having some kind of situation where, it's embarrassing for the both of us, and I have to come out as bisexual and get disfellowshipped and all this shit. I know people who, actually, I have a bisexual XJW friend who has a friend who was married, or maybe is married, had a kid, and was doing stuff with men. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I don't want to hurt people because I am too afraid to live as myself. So I decided to leave, to come out. And I think that's the more courageous thing to do. It's the better thing to do for yourself as a person. And they demonize being selfish. We get one life. Being selfish is not wrong. Accepting who you are and loving yourself is the best thing you can do for yourself. That's what I will tell anyone who is closeted within the Jehovah's Witnesses. And I recommend coming to my TikTok, This Fellow Dipped. Damn, I forgot to do like an introduction for that. I'll have to add that at the end. But yeah, you have to accept yourself. And it's better to come out here and explore, figure out who you are, what you like, what you want. And I think sexuality can be healthier outside of these cults. I think that there are people who are sexual deviants or people who dehumanize women and fetishize people. That's obviously going to be out here. Like, the world is not perfect, clearly. But there can be healthy sexual relationships. And the Jehovah's Witnesses do not have all the answers. And that's why there's so many pedophiles among them, is because sexuality, I think, can warp. And when you don't have healthy conversations about sexuality, kids aren't taught how to protect themselves. And when you're inside of a self-aggrandizing echo chamber, where the religion is more, they're more careful about their reputation than about the people inside of it, specifically the children, then that breeds more and more pedophilia and harm of children. And it's disgusting. And people really need to stop acting like that's not a thing in the religion, especially you elders. My own father knew that there was a pedophile in our Turnersville congregation, and I didn't know. I didn't know till a few months ago when one of my another XJW friend told me, because he left the religion, and I had no clue. And you elders are liars at that point. You act like it's confidential. People aren't supposed to know, but you should be telling your children, stay away from this person. Do not be alone with this person. What kind of parents are you? You're not good parents if you cannot protect your children and teach them how to protect themselves. And then you want to demonize sexuality. Like, it's not a healthy environment. It's not normal. And if you would have these kind of conversations, a lot of us wouldn't even be confused. And a lot of you are confused. Because I know that sexuality is genetic. On my mom's side, my cousin is gay. And I'm not gonna put anybody's business out there, but I know it's genetic. And I think that there are people out there who experimented with things but never confessed it. And then are now shunning their children who are courageous enough to live as themselves. Damn. Y'all want to live a life of straight normalcy because Christianity tells you that straight is the only sexuality that's possible, but clearly not. How can you believe in a whole city full of gay men and be like, this isn't natural, this must be a Western influence that's new in 2026? Use your brain, please. It's so silly. But anyway, that's my personal experience growing up as a bisexual. Also, I got to add, Jehovah's Witnesses will say that they're not homophobic, but spend some time with any JW males and let homosexuality come up and you'll see that they are. I still remember to this day, there was a guy who, I think his mom was like studying with the witnesses, and I think their father could have been abusive and they were like trying to get away from him or something. And I remember the son was like, you could tell that he was gay because he was feminine. And when we left the house after doing something for them, my dad and my brothers like made fun of that guy, and I joined in because that was like the norm. But I remember this sinking feeling in my gut, like, this isn't right. We shouldn't be making fun of him. And I relate to him. Even though I'm not femme, I like men too. And I think that we in the LGBTQ community, especially if we're more masked, need to be more there for people who are feminine because they can't hide it. They are more courageous than we are because they are themselves all the time, and they're not, they could be mistreated simply for existing as themselves, but those of us who are attracted to men but more masculine might be treated better because of that. Especially among the Jehovah's Witnesses, because they would talk down upon people who they knew were non-practicing gays. at the same time applauding them for being celibate and choosing to be not practicing. It's just not normal. I had a friend who left the Jehovah's Witnesses for like 7 years to live as the gay man that he is. And I know he was doing just fine because he's white and attractive. And then he was heavier before. He was already attractive when he was heavy, lost a bunch of weight, got abs. And I'm like, I know you had it made in the gay community living out west. Give me a break. So he left all that. Probably, I don't know if he had a good relationship, but he had a long-term relationship, broke up with his boyfriend, and went back to the religion. And now is an elder. Why would you want to do that? But I know that there are parts of the gay lifestyle, even though the sexuality is not a lifestyle, it's a sexuality. There are different lifestyles within the gay world that can be toxic. So maybe he had toxic friends. I don't know. But I would not ditch my friends and act like they don't exist just to go back to a cult. I would not deny my sexuality and pretend to like women if I wasn't bisexual. If I was just gay like he is, I would not ditch my sexuality, act like it's not there to be with women or to be a celibate elder. I'm not going to do that for the foreseeable future because this end is not coming. And I had asked him why he went back, and he said he didn't want to die in Armageddon. And he missed his family. Isn't that the usual motivation? Isn't that the usual motivating factor? I don't believe in Hebrew mythology anymore. Just like Jehovah's Witnesses and other Christians don't believe in Ragnarok or the Mayan calendar, I don't believe in Armageddon. That is Hebrew mythology. And I honestly believe that everything these Jews wrote about, they thought was going to happen in their lifetime. Because the same way that Jehovah's Witnesses told older generations they never die, didn't the Jews who wrote this stuff in the Bible believe that they wouldn't die without seeing Jesus come back? He never did. Oops. So y'all believe in stuff that is not sensible, that was supposed to be fulfilled and never was, and you're holding your life back for what? For a different life that's not going to come? I know that the paradise is a beautiful idea, but I think it would end up getting boring because there's only a limited amount of things you can do on this planet. And I know that there are people who want to there's a vast universe and we could fill other planets with our children. My own aunt said that she wants to fill an entire planet with her kids. Ew. But I don't think we were meant to live forever because nothing in the universe lasts forever. Stars die, planets die. This sun is not going to last forever because none of them do. So it's just like the idea of forever is just an idea. It's a hope. It's nice to think about. I don't think any of us really want to die. But when I think about 2075, I'm like, ew. I'm going to be what? What is it, 2026? That's 49 years from now. I would be in my 80s. Ew. I don't want to live on this earth that long. Gross. I wouldn't want to live forever here. But if we make it a paradise together as a collective, instead of focusing on religion and we focused on people and improving the planet, maybe we could actually make our own paradise, our own utopia. Get rid of the racism and white supremacy and all this stuff. But this is a different topic. But anyway, I want to hear everybody else's experiences growing up, specifically the bisexuals. We always focus on the gays and the lesbians and the trans people, but we never talk about the bisexuals. Hello? We don't have enough representation, especially as men. Especially. Come on. Light up my comments, please. All right. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I think that was all I wanted to say. Deuces. Stop.